hear like me doing like a hip hop song, a reggaeton song, and then out of nowhere like a rock or a country kind of direction.
It's a little, yeah. I mean, I totally know where you are. It's we just in Israel. I feel like things are just like a little bit more like boots on the ground. You kind of just you're working with what you got. It's not. I feel like because it's like a smaller market. And the budgets are lower. You just kind of do what you have to do for whoever the artist is, and you make do with it. Kind of vibe.
Yeah. So I agree that it's not ideal, especially like in the Western culture where it's more welcomed when a specific producer has a specific kind of niche.
Yeah.
And I would like to have it. And like, I mean, the bigger you are, the more experience you have. Eventually, you will have it. But like. It's a certain point you need to get to where people come to you just because of your style.
Right. It's just going to take years of just honing it in, and eventually it'll happen.
Yeah, like for example, Jordi, he made himself a mark, and people know that he makes good pop music in a certain with hip hop touch, urban also like urban kind of pop music like that, with a mix of reggaeton and stuff like that. So they come to him when they need this kind of sound already, because he has hits that are made in this genres.
Yeah, his stuff blew up. I mean, I probably people that are listening to this outside of Israel have no idea what we're talking about, but I'll link a song or two of his in the show notes. Yeah. But yeah, those songs completely blew up in Israel, and it's like all you hear at weddings or whatever at this point. Absolutely. So you know what? Let's speaking of your sound, let's dig into one of the tracks that you sent me. I have this new segment on the show, and I'm embarrassed to say that it's been like almost maybe 8 episodes or something. I still don't have a name for the segment. Let me know if you have a good name for it. But we could call it like the song breakdown or whatever. I don't know. I need something better than that. But you sent me a track called "Always Tomorrow" by an artist named Rick Rivera. So let's have a listen to it in real time, just like about 90 seconds, and then we'll talk about the story of the track and what you did to it.
Awesome.
Sound cool?
Let's hear it, and then I will tell more about the track.
Standing by the road again. Another ride that came and went too fast. Rushing to be whole again. You hang on, but the moment's never. Dream about another world where the door ain't closed. A wild and open sky. You're going for that high, hoping it will stick. But baby, you know there's always tomorrow, but never today. What you gonna do about it when it slips away? There's always tomorrow, but never today. What you gonna do about it when you are too late for the action? You're off by a fraction, quite alone on the midnight train. Always too late for the laughter, a fool ever after, feeling lost in the pouring rain. Hey, hey. Try to be your own best friend, 'cause you're the only one.
All right, amazing. I would say my favorite part about it is the groove. I love the way the drums and bass and the funky guitar work together. I thought that was probably my favorite part. Also, the vocals sound great. Tell me a bit about that. Tell me a bit about that track. How did it come together?
It's an interesting story. So the track itself is a co-production of mine that I did with my pals from a little cell group that we are having. We have like a little forum of producers from around the world, and we're like meeting
like a mastermind group or something.
Yeah, like kind of a mastermind group. Yeah, and we are meeting almost every week and chat and talk about music, about our lives and stuff like that. So Patrick, he's a producer from Sweden, so he's the songwriter and the co-producer on the song, and of course the singer. He makes a few projects as an artist, and each project is named differently. So this song didn't fit like to any of the other kind of styles that he's doing. So he made up like a new name, Rivera, for himself to fit this song in specific like frame. So the production, so like he had this a cappella that was written and recorded to some instrumental track by other producer that eventually didn't like how the a cappella turned out, and so this a cappella was kind of free, like it was like available, and he sent it to me. Like he told me like he has this a cappella, and if I want to collaborate with him, and yeah, he sent it to me, and I put some ideas for the production, and I sent it back to him. So it was like a ping pong, and the song.
Does Patrick also do like programming and making beats and creating?
Yeah, he is a very talented producer. He wrote a lot of music for musicals, for video games, for like he works a lot with making tunes for pitching for different companies. So he's like a very experienced producer. So it was like a big pleasure to work with him, because like he took my ideas for the production and just upgraded them like to sound more like they should. So it was very fun experience. Also, like the whole idea was to making like 80s type of song. So I hope you felt the 80s vibe.
80s. Interesting. Yeah, I guess a little bit. I didn't think about it. It didn't register to me as 80s. I guess it wasn't like a gated snare drum enough for me to think 80s. But I guess maybe groove-wise, like, get that Prince vibe or whatever with the guitars.
You didn't
now
feel,
that you're mentioning it.
You didn't feel like the vocals, the melody of the vocals? It was like...
Oh, yeah. You know what? Yeah. I guess you're right. I mean, I guess I'm not such an 80s guy. Like, I was born in the 80s, but I'm much more influenced by 90s and post-90s music than I am from the 80s. I feel like people like 5-7 years older than me are super into 80s music, and I just like didn't really, with like a few exceptions, I didn't really grow up with the 80s music. Obviously Michael Jackson and like, I don't know, like Paul Simon's Graceland album is like a favorite of mine, but like I'm less into, I guess I'm less of an 80s guy, if that's a fair statement. The vocal quality was definitely 80s.
It's fair, because I wasn't the 80s guy as well, but since it became a trend, I started like learning more about what 80s means, because like everybody are so much into 80s, like synth pop and like retro wave and all these things. Right.
No, the vocal is definitely like that new wave kind of vibe for sure.
Yeah,
I definitely hear that.
So yeah,
it wasn't a conscious thing I was listening for, and I didn't think about it. But so I'm sorry if I didn't pick up on it 100%, but it totally makes sense.
Yeah, I mean Patrick would be able to explain more about the lyrics and like what it means than me right now. But the song is a 80s type of song, and so we were sending the files back and forth to each other until we came up with the final arrangement, and then like the other guy from our group, he is also a producer from UK, Angus. So he told that he would love to mix it for us, like as a collaboration in a friendly way, because we were like just doing it between ourselves.
You just guys, the three of you just went all in on the project, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So he mixed the song.
Nice. Who mastered it?
Patrick exported the final master, because he was doing some little small touches after the Angus sent the mix. He like got the stems and did some touch-ups and then exported the master. Nice.
What lessons did you learn from like this kind of a collaborative process? Like what would you impart on the listeners having done this kind of like three-way collaboration?
I have mixed thoughts about it, but what is the most positive thing from this whole three-way collaboration between like producers is that the final result is amazing. Because sometimes you're afraid that if someone else touches your song, he will like just destroy it. He will not be able like to take it one step higher, but will bring it like he will not understand the sound. He will not be able to like improve it. But I was amazed how this whole collaboration just made good for the song.
Yeah. I feel like this is becoming a theme of the podcast, of me just kind of realizing and exploring these topics with other people, but like just doing stuff with more than one person is usually better. And actually like having objectivity and being a third party is helpful, and actually just like more than one head, like synergy of humans working together and making something that's better than the sum of its parts, I think is a real thing. And I've learned that over the course of interviewing people, and it just seems to keep coming up and keep coming up on the show. You know? It's like interesting.
Yeah, it is. It also makes sense. Like, for example, but in cases we are working solo on the production, like one producer is working on the song with an artist, you kind of go through the same process, but you get it more through feedback, and then you just rework it yourself instead of like other person just like taking the project and making tweaks.
Right. That feedback loop is really important.
It's like feedback loop instead of just handing it to someone to do it himself.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I keep talking about, and it just keeps coming up. But like we used to, back in the day, audio engineers used to be in a studio with other audio engineers and producers, and everyone could kind of like, what do you think about this? How's this compressor? Like, oh yeah, let's try another different microphone. Like, and because we're all working on our little like man and woman caves these days, like we don't get that feedback loop anymore. So it's like, it's so important to try to get some feedback from other people, because otherwise you're just going to go crazy.
Actually, the one thing that COVID made good for me is that I discovered a way to make remote session with artists. And,
please tell me. Yeah.
And so before COVID, I was like struggling to produce remotely, because it's like was infinite loop of notes and a way to try to explain what you want, what you mean. And right now, like when I have an opportunity to cast my screen to the artist, show him the project, play to him in the real time, and like he would say, okay, I think that something here I would like to change, or I don't like something here. So I'm like, okay, one moment. I'm switching, changing. And he's able to give me feedback in real time as I go. And it helps a lot. It's like just almost like he's in the same room.
Are you using like audio movers or one of those plugins to do it? Or you? No,
I don't use. I'm using Source Connect. Are you familiar with it?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Source Connect is like a software that lets you stream your DAW audio to like a Google Chrome browser on their website, on their web application, and then just the artist will also log in on the web application and just stream it from Google Chrome.
Amazing.
And
I gotta check it out.
And the video goes through Zoom or Skype or whatever.
Right. So maybe the video is like, I guess, a lower quality than the audio, but at least they're hearing what they need to hear.
Yeah, it's not high quality audio. It's MP3 quality, like pretty low, but it's good to understand what's going on. It's still okay.
It's probably better than the Zoom audio if you were just to share a Zoom screen.
I don't know even how to route audio from the DAW through Zoom, so I didn't do it.
I think you can. I think if you just like
you can, maybe if you can, but it will be probably mono, so it's not good.
It's not good. No. I've done it and it's terrible. So it must be better than that.
Yeah. So the good thing about Source Connect now that it's like they have a free tier that you can just in a slow format you can use it for free.
Amazing. That's awesome advice. Anything else that our listeners would wanna know about collaborating over the internet?
I think patience. It's a big word here, because you need to take into consideration that you're not in the same room. Maybe it takes a little bit more time to get to know each other better. So I would say all this whole thing that I was talking in the beginning, that the connection that is being created during the conversation and all this discovery process with the artist, it takes a little bit more time and patience when you're working through the internet. And so you need to be patient with that. And when you work with a producer as an artist, you need to understand that sometimes it feels like artists freak out when something sounds wrong. Like they feel that it's not the producer will not change it, or producer will not like be able to do it right. And I'm always saying like everything can be fixed, everything can be changed. Until the song is done, it's not done. So I feel like it comes up many times with artists, like they freak out when something is not 100%
Yeah.
I don't know if you can connect to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, I think communication is key when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's like saying